guides will be available online to help you through. Good luck.
Hey, here's a thought. Why don't we just make war illegal?
Listen, IDAP's realistic. We don't live in a world without conflict. We're not here to stop it, but we all have a responsibility to limit suffering, wherever we can. That's the goal here. The non-competence sim demonstrates how hard it can be to ID legitimate targets.
Alright, let's get started with a case study simulation. Your objective here is to move through each room, dealing with enemy combatants in an appropriate manner. I'll be providing feedback all the way. But keep in mind the color of the entities you encounter. Now, this is important, so listen carefully. Red is hostile, green is friendly, purple is civilian. So, if that's all clear, let's jump in. Virtual guns at the ready. Go!
Hold fire! Form staggered column.
Remember to check your targets. Not all situations are what they seem. Your ROE is to hold fire until fired upon. Notice that we're also highlighting your projectile paths. You'll see how quickly ricochets or material penetration can cause unintended casualties. So watch out. Safeguarding is one of the most basic laws of armed conflict. Hold fire. You shouldn't target civilians. Get out. By killing unlawful targets, you become a renegade. Now even members of your own faction will turn against you. Have fun with that. In reality, it's live once, think twice. But here, you can do it over. Get out. Don't target relief personnel or anything belonging to them.
Taking command.
You nearly had it there. Try again. I bet you'll get it next time. Come on, ID your target. Again, that's a certainty. Ah, good effort. Unlucky. Why not give it another shot? Search every... Target relief personnel. Anything belonging to them. Check your fire. searching the room. Check every corner. Good effort. Unlucky. Why not give it another shot? Check your fire. In reality, it's live once, think twice. But here, you can do it over.
No, ex-military. Works for an NGO now. You've got him on the line? Exactly. He's on the ground now, actually. I should really, get back to it.
Of course. Go ahead. Oh, and Kate. Send me a note later. Thanks.
Hello? Nathan? Sorry to keep you waiting. My editor. Where were we?
Hey, you were asking about the guy, the one that went back there, the guy that,
Ah, that's right. And did you know him well?
No, not really. He worked maintenance on our trucks.
He was employed by IDAP.
No, nothing like that. I mean, he just helped us out a few times. Off the book stuff. Guy was a local mechanic. Family business type thing, you know.
I see.
I remember he had a place on the edge of town, not far from our setup. We'd chat from time to time. He's a nice guy, friendly.
And do you know where he was going that day?
To the church.
He was going to church.
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, that place had been abandoned for almost a year. But he was looking for his brother.
At the church?
Yeah, there'd been reports of, pretty brutal firefight up there. He'd heard his brother might have been caught up in it.
Sure, but... And I'm not quite clear on this. Was his brother still alive?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't think he knew either. Seems like he was on his way to find out.
So, his brother, he was in the army?
Yes and no. It's complicated. You gotta remember it was pretty chaotic back then.
Of course. Okay, let's back up a bit.
Sure.
What complicated the situation?
Just the history of it all. His brother had been a recruit in the Alta's Armed Forces, boot camp, basic training, you know. Well, this is back when NATO was still keeping the peace. But after U.S. forces pulled out, apparently he deserted.
Do you know why?
No, just, I know they argued a lot about it.
Was he upset that his brother had deserted?
Oh, no, he was no fan of the government. I mean, by that time, very few people were.
What, they?
I think he was just, I don't know, sick of all the violence. Didn't want to see his brother get caught up in all that.
In what?
More bloodshed.
Hello? Kate speaking.
Hey, sorry about that. Call must have dropped. The network out here is garbage.
No problem. It's understandable. Are you still driving?
Yeah, we're not at the town yet. Hold on a sec. Andy, we almost there.
We're, a little ways out. Oh, and we need to make one quick stop, too.
Thanks, bud. So, where'd we get cut off?
You were telling me about the church. The landmine? The accident.
Right, yeah. Well, of course, a civilian casualty like that, particularly, at a church, I guess it kind of refocused our attention here.
Had IDAP been particularly active in the area?
Yeah. I mean, our project had a handful of camps spread across the country. But yeah, I was in the town itself for a few months. It's all different now, though.
How so?
Well, for one thing, IDAP used to be based right in the heart of Rio Castro. Of course, this was all pre-war. I remember, at that time...
All right, Mac. That's your stuff all laid out here.
Hold on just a sec, Kate. I need to get set up.
Take your time.
All right, then. You got everything? Detector working? You, remember how to switch it on, right?
Hey, sorry, I forgot to mention, the demining toolkit, totally forgot to pack it up this morning.
That's no big deal. We're just locating the mines for now. Just keep me posted.
Are you free to talk, Nathan?
Sure. For now, I'm just sweeping the road for mines, getting a lay of the land, you know. The detector lets us see what we're dealing with here. I can work and chat.
Question. What happens when you do find a landmine?
Ordinarily, we disarm it, but today, small oversight, we haven't got all our gear right now.
Oh, it's on the way, I hope.
Yeah, it's all good.
So, since the war's now over, has your own role changed at all?
Yeah, I guess so. Now I'm almost entirely focused on EOD and UXO.
And that's something you did in the military too?
Yeah, that's the thing about mines. War or not, win, lose, they don't go away.
How many minefields are you facing on Altis?
That we know of, 22. 23 including whatever's here. Plus you've got Stratus, another 4 over there, I think.
I see. And can you estimate, roughly, how long it would take to remove them all?
A lot of variables, but cleanup operation of this size, if it's only IDAP, we're talking years.
Do you ever get nervous?
Yeah, but not when I'm working. It hits you after. Or before. Andy, I'm at the barricade.
Cool. And the road?
Yeah, it's what we thought. Dozen or so APs, nothing the old Bobcat can't handle.
Mediterranean sun, my ass. Ought to be drinking fucking wine.
Huh. I got a blocked door here.
Yep. NATO still hasn't gotten its ass into gear. I can make some calls, but,
I'll come back later. The people here, they didn't have much love for their army.
Why do you think that is?
History, I guess. This place never supported the military takeover, the Kavala coup and all that. Plus, stationing troops in the town, nobody believed the government's spin about training. They were seen as an occupying force there to keep a lid on things. Hey, Andy.
Yep. What's up?
What's the deal with the church? Can we get in or what?
Sorry, Mac. No dice. NATO's got first dibs. They're bringing their boys home. Bag and tag. Best leave them to it.
I'll come back later. Huh. Where our camp used to be.
Anything left?
Not much. Few memories, maybe. Just some old boxes here and there.
IDAPs.
Yeah. It was NATO that helped bring them in. Actually, it was one hell of a supply drop.
So, the supply drop, this was when exactly?
Right around the time we saw the ceasefire starting to break down. Must be more than a year ago now.
So, at that time, your camp was in the center of town?
Yeah, things were getting pretty desperate, though. I remember we hadn't been resupplied in months. No food, water, medicine. We were used to issues with logistics, but I don't know, in the end it got so bad U.S. forces prepared an airdrop. Not an easy task considering, but those crates, they really were life and death. That's why we needed somebody on the ground. Someone to make sure they came down okay.
And who was that?
A guy named Adams, part of the NATO peacekeeping force. Close friend of mine, actually. It was his job to locate a drop zone.
In the mountains?
Mm-hmm. Needless to say, High Command always had ideas, but they weren't always good. Plus, no one had planned for those crosswinds flaring up. But our supplies were already in the air.
He made a spur-of-the-moment decision?
Pretty much, yeah. Although he described it with more, direct language.
Adams, he went out alone?
From the way he told it, he may as well have. No, he went along with some new recruits, local bunch. It was his job to show them the ropes.
something I'm not quite clear on. Why didn't IDAP transport the aid themselves? There must have been a reason.
Yeah, there was. A couple of weeks previously, guerrillas had ambushed a convoy. It was some dissident group out to sabotage the peace talks in Karbala. Anyway, NATO intervened and the whole thing just blew up. A checkpoint was hit. Protesters were fired upon at the MOD.
Yes, we were there. 8 a.m.
Then you know how bad it got.
Our movements were limited by the government.
Exactly. And convincing anybody to reassign troops, to escort NGOs, just a total non-starter.
About your friend. He was your liaison, right?
Right. But Adams and I had a history. We'd met on a previous deployment. This guy was your typical Army lifer. Cynical, sarcastic, big heart, pissed off with everyone, everything, all the time. But he always seemed to know where to find a beer, and was always willing to share it. One of the drop zones available to Adams was out on the coast.
You mentioned something about the breakdown of peace talks, the situation blowing up. What happened there, from your perspective?
Well, for one thing, the change in the peacekeeping mandate came out of the blue. We heard the pressure came down the pipe from CSAC. They had the leverage.
You mean it was in their interest to kick NATO off the mainland?
Maybe. Certainly the government had become frustrated with NATO and vice versa.
I suppose they blame NATO for their, more sympathetic approach.
Hearts and minds, Adams used to tell me. But the others said they just didn't have the guts for it, couldn't do what needed to be done.
Gekas, move up.
On the way. Ready.
Gekas, board that vehicle.
Roger that.
Leventis, disembark.
Copy that. Ready. Standing by.
Petros, Commander, get in that vehicle.
No can do. Standing by.
Leventis, board that vehicle.
Understood. Ready.
East of the town, there was a potential drop zone on the outskirts of guerrilla territory. I was about to tell you something. I don't know, I kind of lost my train of thought.
That's all right.
Sorry. My mind, sometimes it just kind of wanders.
Disembark.
Welcome. Standing by. Waiting. Standing by.
Now, Adams wasn't stupid. He knew the drop zones he'd been given were flawed. Information was always getting to the enemy.
You're saying they were compromised? By the guerrillas, I mean.
I don't know for sure, but Adams was the kind of guy to take extra precautions.
One thing I don't understand, what were they doing there, all the way up in the mountains?
The town, Oreo Castro, this place has historic ties with the guerrillas. For years, people here would provide them with food, water.
I see.
The government responded by draining the swamp.
And that involved sending soldiers?
Yeah, coin ops. Adams and his guys were there to remind him of their R2P.
Just a sec, I'm getting a bit lost in the lingo here.
Oh, gotcha. R2P is their responsibility to protect. Counterinsurgency can get real messy real quick. He was in charge of training, laws of armed conflict, that kind of thing. Adams normally tossed out an orange smoke grenade, which marked his position for the pilot.
So, these crates, were there a lot of them, or...?
No, just 4. One contained medicine, another fresh drinking water. The rest were packed with rice or grain. Adams had to inspect each one individually. Later, we'd arrange collection.
Parachute, 200 meters front. Get in that vehicle.
Understood. Standing by. Waiting. Waiting.
The medical items, they'd been trashed. Files are broken, just a total mess. It was a disaster. Adams didn't know it, but one of our doctors, he lost a patient because of that.
Ready. Ready.
Halt!
Welcome.
Gekas, pilot, get in that vehicle.
Welcome.
Get in that vehicle.
No can do. Negative. Solid copy. Standing by. Ready.
Leventis, board that vehicle.
Copy. Standing by.
Dismount.
Understood. Standing by. Ready. Standing by.
As I recall, the bottles of purified water were fine. We'd been waiting on those for weeks.
Get in that vehicle.
Copy that. Standing by. Waiting. Waiting.
Dismount.
Solid copy. Standing by. Standing by. Ready.
Gekas, pilot,
Now,
get in
the
that
thing with
vehicle.
airdrops, they're not exactly subtle. Smoke, noise of a plane, or bright green parachutes, they're gonna get your notice. And when you're in the middle of bandit country, that's a problem.